St. Lucia series where I've been...
So definitely gonna try the local cuisine as well as like really go off the beaten path. Not too much because at the end of the day we're still tourists.
Right.
But
I want to look lost.
We want the real culture of St. Lucia if we do go there in the near future. So.
Right. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, Beth?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 100K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
I have just spent the last 2 weeks in this absolutely incredible Caribbean island, St. Lucia, and I've had an absolutely amazing time. I've compiled a list of the top 10 things that I feel like every traveler should be aware of to make sure that you are fully equipped and also have the best possible experience. My name's Matt, and I'm a travel content creator, and I post lots of travel videos here on this channel, and I've also created a full St. Lucia travel series, so if you want to check out that, go click the link in my video description, and also subscribe if that sounds like something that you want to hear more and see more about. Now, the first tip on that list is going to be join a tour early on in your trip. And the reason that I'd say that is because St. Lucia is quite a big island. There is a lot to know about and learn about. By joining a tour with a recognized tour guide that can take you around the island and give you their experience, give you their knowledge, and teach you lots of interesting things about the place, that's going to put you in much better stead for the remainder of your trip. You're going to get introduced to the main cultural things, the main foods, things to be aware of from a local's perspective. So for example, Soufrière was the original capital of St. Lucia, and that is because the French originally, when they settled here, they made Soufrière their original capital. But then of course there was a minor basilica that was built within Castries, and that is why that became the capital. But there's so much.
Yeah, I agree. Get a tour guide. But at the same time, it's like we don't want to go out there and freestyle our experience, but we do strategize pretty good where the places we only want to go and where we want to end back up at. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with a tour guide and with a strategy to vacate, both will work pretty good.
Yeah, with the itinerary, I feel like that is a good tip though. Early in the trip, so we'll have the rest of the trip to kind of know, you know, the ins and outs a little bit, enough for our stay. And to have an overall better trip, I like that idea. Like early in the week. Yeah,
and I've always heard that there's places you just don't want to get stuck in. Like you don't want to tiptoe around. There's some places you just don't want to mistakenly end up. So
and that's
tour guides will definitely keep you on your toes. Yeah, for real.
Other rich history that St. Lucia has to offer, and the best way to find this out is by using a tour company that is recognized with the tourism certificate. I have linked some tour companies that I recommend in the video description below, so go check them out. They are the best sellers on the island and ones that I can 100% get behind because I've been on them and I can highly recommend them. Travel tip number 2. As a tourist, the only real public transport that you guys should be using are hired minibuses, which will have the H plate, hired taxis, which will have the H plate or the TX plate in their number plate at the start of it, or you should be renting a car. And car rentals will have a P plate. You'll actually be able to spot a lot of these different cars by the number plate, such as SLG, that might be yellow, that I think is a government advisor. There'll be a deep blue one, which can be a diplomat. These people are above the law. But of course, the H plate, the TX plate, and the P plate, those are the plates for the tourists to be using. There are local minibuses on the island, but they are predominantly designed for the locals to get to and from work. They are very cheap. $1 to $3 for a journey, and you can see them scattered all over the island, especially on the main road. But to be honest, these are for locals and they're not really insured for tourists. So if you get in a crash and you end up having an injury, in terms of getting insurance coverage, it's not necessarily going to cover you, and the whole process will be a lot more challenging. So my main suggestion would be hiring a rental vehicle, using a taxi company, or hiring a private minibus. Again, links to do that will be in the video description.
Driving on the left side is crazy.
Now, travel tip number...
Now, that is really nice to know, especially like for tourists, so that you can be safe as possible on the island.
No, I agree 100%.
3. This is regarding driving on the island. I really haven't had a problem driving here. I've enjoyed it, especially being British. We drive on the left side of the road. That is the same as what they do in St. Lucia. But something to be aware of is potholes. There are lots of them. And to be honest, if you're hiring a vehicle, you need to be really cautious when you're driving on the road that you don't drive into a pothole and you don't damage that vehicle. Otherwise, you're going to get a hefty bill at the end of your trip when you hand that vehicle back. The next thing is the roads are really quite windy, and I've never actually had a problem with travel sickness before, but because they're so windy, I actually did here. But fortunately, I did have some travel sickness tablets, and that did prevent me having any more issues. And also be aware of rush hour. If you are ever traveling back to your hotel across the main road, which the majority of routes will be taking you, be aware that rush hour is between around 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. Try to avoid these periods because you will be caught in terrible rush hour traffic. And last, always use your horn when you're going around windy bends. The bends here are very, very windy, and it is always advised to be using your horn. It's not like in the UK, whereby if you use your horn, people will look at you funny because they think you're being aggressive. It doesn't work like that here in St. Lucia. It is simply a way of notifying other vehicles that you're nearby. And also you'll notice a lot of taxi drivers and a lot of private tour companies, they will always use their horn, and that's just a way of, you know, saying hi to neighboring vehicles on the road that they might know. Next up, we got travel tip number 4, and this is regarding using your phone in St. Lucia. I always need to feel connected, and because of these whole new roaming charges that the UK has introduced and all of the phone providers have introduced, it means that I'm no longer able to use my data plan that I'm using in the UK when I come abroad. My option was paying either £5 a day, which over the space of 2 weeks would be about £70, or the alternative would be going to a company like Flow or Digicel, which are the main 2 cellular data providers here in St. Lucia, a 1-week SIM card, which was about 10 to 20 US dollars with loads of minutes, loads of gigabytes, like 2 gigabytes of data, which is more than enough, or a full month, which was, I believe, around 40 to 50 US dollars. So that equates to around, what, £35, which is a much better deal. It was really quick, really simple, didn't require me to sign any paperwork. It was just a simple case of spending that money, getting a SIM card, and I had a St. Lucian number. I'm able to use the internet reliably and stay connected at all times. So I can highly suggest picking up a SIM card whilst out here. I went to Castries, which is the capital, to do that. It was a really simple process. So that is how to stay connected. Travel tip number 5, try the local cuisine. When you're staying in these resorts, it is really easy to get carried away with, you know, being on an all-inclusive package and enjoying the food in the resort. But food here in St. Lucia is really unique to all the other Caribbean islands. And that's because of the Creole style, which is, you know, a specific way of cooking, a specific way of living, and part of their culture. We've eaten some amazing, amazing meals when trying different restaurants. And if you want to see more of the restaurants that I have been to, I suggest you click on the playlist in my description, or click on that card up there to watch the rest of this St. Lucia series, where I've been...
So definitely gonna try the local cuisine, as well as like really go off the beaten path. Not too much, because at the end of the day we're still tourists.
Right.
But
I want to look lost.
We want the real culture of St. Lucia if we do go there in the near future. So,
right. And I mean, I feel like that's what it's about. Like, you ready to get to experience that way. You know what I'm saying? To really encounter the people, to see how they're talking, they're loving on one another, just the things and the nature of it. You know what I'm saying? So getting that getting off your little island trip right there and hitting the streets for a little bit, it shouldn't hurt nothing.
Yeah, because I feel like if we go to all-inclusive resort and we only stay at the resort, it's like going to a water park.
Basically, yeah.
Get off. Get out of the resort.
Yeah. And just go explore a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Trying loads of different restaurants and doing loads of different unique things, but some of the food at some of the more local restaurants has been absolutely incredible. Trying their national dish of salted codfish and the green bananas when they're boiled, they're a vegetable and they're absolutely delicious, by the way. You know, eating yams, sweet potatoes, breadfruit, and all of their unique spices. Guys, I can't recommend that enough. Try the local food here in St. Lucia. You know, step out your comfort zone a bit and you will be super impressed. Next up, we got travel tip number 5, and that is regarding currency. Now, here in St. Lucia and many of the Caribbean islands, they use the Eastern Caribbean dollar. It is good to come with Eastern Caribbean dollars, but don't worry because everywhere also accepts US dollars.
Nice.
So I came here to St. Lucia with only my travel credit card, which allows me to make payments in card readers at the exchange rate, but I also came with some US dollars. And that has been absolutely fine because everywhere that doesn't accept card accepts US dollars. But just be aware, if you do ever pay in US dollars and you get change, you'll always get change in Eastern Caribbean. If you do come with US dollars, it is really, really simple to change the currency. You can go to either a bank where you'll get 2.7 Eastern Caribbean for $1 or the market value. If you just go to a vendor or to a shop, you'll get 2.5 Eastern Caribbean dollars per $1. So in terms of currency, just be aware that you need US dollars, Eastern Caribbean dollars, and potentially a travel credit card. Most big companies will accept that credit card. Next up, this is quite a quick and easy one, right? Sun cream and mosquito repellent. The UV radiation out in the Caribbean, especially right now in June, July time, is very, very high. I was wearing factor 30 and I'm quite olive skinned anyway, I'm quarter Indian, and I was burning badly with factor 40 on my face and factor 30 regularly applied. So make sure you bring a high enough factor and protect your skin. The other thing is mosquito repellent. There are lots of mosquitoes here and that is just something that you're not going to be able to get around. So wear adequate clothing if you're going to be doing hikes like the Gros Piton hike, and also make sure you have insect repellent. That is going to be really helpful at avoiding those nasty bites and having really itchy legs throughout the trip. My mate Nick, he was just eaten to death. So be aware of that. Sun cream and mosquito repellent. Next up, this is actually an essential to do whilst you're here in St. Lucia, and that is going to the sulfur springs and the mud baths. Now, I have made a full video going over my top things to do here in St. Lucia, so if you want to check out a list of those top 10 things to do, make sure you click on that card. The thing to be aware of is when you go to the sulfur springs and those mud baths, make sure that you bring a towel for starters, because they don't provide towels there and you're going to need to wipe off the moisture after having a shower and obviously being in the mud bath. But secondly, because it is mud, don't be wearing expensive swim costumes. Go wearing something black, don't be wearing white, because they will get ruined and they will get damaged. Travel tip number 9 is bring adequate footwear. The reason that I say this is another of the top things that I suggest you do on the island is hiking Gros Piton, and it is quite a challenging hike. I was wearing, you know, running trainers, Nike trainers that are super comfortable.
I just feel like when you go on vacation, you're going to be doing a lot of walking anyway. Yeah. So put on those type of footwears, have the rest of the lounge type of gear to your hotel or your resort, and shit that way. But when you step out, you got to put on something that's going to be able to tighten up your shoes.
Gotta be ready.
Gotta be ready.
Always rely on, and they are my everyday shoe. But even wearing those, they were not really suitable for this hike. The reason being is I was sliding around because the terrain is a bit more challenging, but also because they're not hard-toed at the end, it meant that I actually stubbed my toe quite a few times when I got my foot like stuck in between the rocks. So bring adequate hiking shoes if you do plan on doing the hike. But other than that, if you're not going to be doing the hike, you should be okay with just some sandals, flip-flops, and some nice smart shoes for evenings and a pair of trainers for your day-to-day activities. And last of all, travel tip number 10, the best time to travel to St. Lucia. January to May is generally considered the best time to travel because you've got the best weather. It's not incredibly busy, but there's less chance of experiencing rainfall. June to November is actually considered rainy season, but some of the St. Lucians over here have told me that they have really noticed the effects of climate change and they've not really experienced that much rain that they used to. Now, I'm actually here in June, July time. It's going into July, and out of a 14-day trip, I've had maybe 2 days of rainfall, if that, and the rest of the trip has been absolutely beautiful. So whereas previously it used to be a big issue traveling at certain times of the year to avoid the rain, right now it's not as much of an issue. But if you want to know what the main wet months are, it is September through to November. Busy season is starting around November. If you do want to avoid the crowds, I would suggest coming at a time other than November through April. With that being said, I believe that is my top 10 travel tips.
So that is good to know.
Definitely
good to know the best time to travel.
Yeah. A lot of interesting facts that, you know what I'm saying, you definitely need your notepad for. You ever plan on traveling out there, but as you can see, there's so much to do.
Yes, it was very informative.
Yeah.
So we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our join feature to become a VIP member of the channel. Send in your reaction request to our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.